Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever the fuck you're watching this episode. We got to get right into it. Another episode of the Blitz. NFL season is here, folks. We've got games to preview before we eventually review them next week. So, lots of things to jump into. Gary, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
Hanging in there, man. Hanging in there. This Tuesday is a real fucking tough Monday. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Excited. Excited. The NFL season's starting though.
Definitely something to look forward to. We had a good, nice little fucking round of college football this weekend. So hope you guys caught the tailgate trash talking. If you didn't, please fucking exit stage left and get to it. So they save on Facebook and they save on YouTube. Feel free to go to our live section and you can see when we stream. So Andy, how are you doing tonight?
Good, man. I've always been a Duke fan. Go Blue Devils.
That's the bandwagon to jump on right now.
Bit of an odd sport though, if you're rooting for Duke here. So here we are. All right, so let's get into it. Week 1. We're all, last minute news before we make our picks, obviously, right? But we're riding with Detroit here. And so, leaves us a little susceptible on the money line, which I'm sure has changed. But the last I saw is Chiefs -5. That's probably been updated by now, I'd assume. Pretty unanimous there. Obviously, Detroit would have had a chance. I don't expect this to be like a dominant performance for Kansas City, even as is. Detroit's a stout team that's up and coming and is very close to being a true competitor in the NFC playoff sector. So, Andy, let's go to the resident fan. You riding with the team this week? Is it purely because of Kelsey? What is it?
No, I gotta ride, right? I mean, if there's any time, it's now. I picked the Lions to win the division. I did pick the Chiefs to win their division too. The Chris Jones thing was big for me because it doesn't look like Jones is going to play. Now the Kelsey thing is just kind of icing on the cake. I do think that line dropped from 6.5 to 5. They're going to give it. I don't think Mahomes has ever been not the favorite,
especially at home.
No, ever. I don't think he's ever been.
Yeah.
He's always been the favorite, like ever since he's been a starter. So, I think Jared Goff's never played in Arrowhead, the only stadium he's never played in the NFL. So we'll get, he's got the no interception streak on the line. It feels good. It does.
Interesting point.
Listen, the Chiefs are as formidable as they come. I picked them to lose in the Super Bowl, but I got to ride with the boys, man. I think there's some things. They came out this week. They said they're going to do some interesting things. They want to use Jahmyr Gibbs in a lot of ways. They want to use even David Montgomery in a lot of weird ways. I think Sam Laporta is going to be a breath of fresh air for that offense. We got the oldest wide receiver in the NFL, Marvin fucking Jones, at 33 years old. How the hell did that become
back for another run?
How's that the oldest wide receiver in the NFL?
That's crazy, isn't
33?
It? Crazy.
The NFL's got to get it together. We're doing this thing. We're pushing people out. But, yeah, we're going with Detroit. I hate the weird little adages that all these teams come up with. Restore the roar. So fucking lame, but we're just thinking it this week.
It's awesome. That's just, yeah. So I look, creativity, right? We gotta encourage.
The only thing I do worry about with Detroit is Goff's efficiency on the road. Last year he was like the number 1 rated passer at home and like the number 30 rated passer on the road. But without Chris Jones, they should be able to protect him, and he should be able to find those weapons.
Just have to get stops.
The Kelsey news is a big deal. That offense is not scary without Kelsey, other than Mahomes, right? You're expecting him to be the guy.
Yeah, he'll be fine, I think.
Can he be the only guy?
You're gonna find out real quick what they've got in these retreads. And whether Sky Moore is going to be a guy in the NFL. They drafted him with the expectation he'd be able to be a semi-substitute for Tyreek Hill, and he's not been yet. So we're going to find out.
You ain't lying. On to the next one.
I see what you did there.
Carolina. I mean, dumpster fire, right? Like Atlanta's not in good place.
There's a lot of people that really like Atlanta. A lot of talking heads think that they're building something. I think last year they caught.
I think they are too.
They caught some teams by surprise too with that weird running the ball approach that is counterintuitive to the modern NFL game. They didn't do it in a way that you look at like the Ravens, right? They're usually the team that runs it like crazy. Jalen Hurts and Philly's another one. He can kind of change the way a running game, works. They had Mariota, who was fine as a running quarterback, but they benched him halfway through the year. Ritter is not at all a running quarterback, so they basically now are just going to run like a wing T offense, it appears, because they drafted Bijan Robinson at 4 and or at 5 or whatever it was, and they've got like 10 running backs on the roster and 1 wide receiver and 1 tight end who has never lived up to the hype. I worry about Atlanta and being able to continue to catch people by surprise and make that offense work. Whereas Carolina, I like the rookie quarterback. I like what they've got there in Frank Reich. I like their defense. Their defense was better than they get credit for last year because they weren't a very good team because their offense was absolutely atrocious. But that defense can put pressure on you, and I think that's part of what we're going to see against Atlanta. And I just don't think there's any surprise factor to Atlanta this year. We talk about it with rookie quarterbacks. The film gets out there. With these niche offenses, the film gets out there and teams start to figure it out.
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely rebuilding. I don't have any hopes that like Carolina is going to get upset here, but yeah, I mean, I this is another example of like, goddamn, I wish Bijan had went somewhere else because, I wanted to see what he's truly capable of. I know there's a lot of hype, and obviously being a Texas fan, I was into it, but kid's got talent, no doubt. So just see where it gets applied in this type of offense, which may be to his benefit. I mean, he's a big motherfucker.
I do like him in an offense that wants to run the ball, though. So that's
yeah. This is going to be the best possible display of his talent as long as he can have somebody kind of set some strategic blocks. Maybe you go for 1 strategic block instead of 2, because you don't have the line to push, full security for that running back.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways, on to the next one. Texans at Baltimore. We're all unanimous for Baltimore. I mean, we're still unanimous here across the board into the first 3 games. I think we'll get into this matchup here a little later. But Andy, I mean, preview it for me. What are you thinking?
It's the lock alert, right? I mean, -10. Vegas knows it. We know it. Nobody thinks the Texans are going to be good. I think, some of us, maybe just me, given last week's results, think that the Ravens are going to be good. I think we all know they're good enough to beat this Texans dumpster. This might be the worst team in the league, right? When it's all said and done, I think Lamar Jackson comes back from the injury with that new contract, and we get things done. I think he picks up from where he wanted to leave off and where he wanted to pick up last season. Got a couple of new weapons. He's got the young dude in Zay Flowers. He's got Odell Beckham Jr. We'll see where that goes. Yeah, I think it's a pretty easy pick.
Yeah. No dissenting opinion here. Houston's, they're not going to be good this year. And Baltimore, I had them as a fringe playoff team. I didn't put them in the playoffs, but they're going to be good. They're going to be much better than Houston.
Another matchup, another unanimous agreement. Cincinnati on the road, but not far to Cleveland. And everybody's trusting Tiger King. And, I said it in the chat earlier. We were talking about Kelsey and, obviously the Jones controversy. I mean, I think we're at a point where, I've already admitted, not even into week 1, I made a mistake. This is Joe Burrow's season. I mean, this is it. I want to believe that this is it. So,
yeah, I worry about the calf, but I am encouraged by the fact that he showed back up to practice without the sleeve on the calf that was obviously bothering him before he injured it previously. The fact that he showed up without the sleeve gives me confidence that he feels like he's 100% and that the doctors have signed off on the fact that he's 100%, because I don't think there's any way that Cincinnati wants him on the field if he's not 100% in week 1. You're building for something. you're looking at potentially, right? Cincinnati has to feel like they're a Super Bowl contender. They've been there once. They've been to the AFC Championship game as well in the last 2 years. So if he's not 100%, they're not going to put him on the field. On the flip side, Cleveland, I think, has potential to be kind of a sneaky, scary team. Hey, Dad. It's just one of those things with they've got talent on that roster, right? The defense is pretty loaded. They've got maybe the best pass rusher in the league, right? People will debate whether Myles Garrett is the best pass rusher in the league. He is the most dangerous man with a helmet in his hand. I can tell you that. Just ask Pittsburgh Steelers pariah quarterback. And Mason Rudolph running away from a helmet these days. But I look at this and say Cincinnati's more steady. Cincinnati's more proven. And even on the road in Cleveland, it's a short jaunt off the road. But even on the road in the dog pound, Cincinnati, I think, just has too much. That offense is fucking scary. There's so many fucking weapons. Mixon and all three receivers. And they added tight end power as well. And they added more O-line help this year, going and getting Orlando Brown to put more resources into that offensive line. So I just look at Cincinnati. I picked them to win the Super Bowl. I can't back down on it now, right? Against Cleveland. So
I think this is the game of the week, though. I like this game. I think it's a good
I like
match.
it too. I like it too because I think we're going to learn a lot about Cleveland and whether Deshaun Watson is back. For sure.
Another potential upset here.
Potentially.
Jacksonville on the road to Indianapolis. All of us here believing in the Jacksonville way. I think it's going to be a strong year for Duval. We've already talked about our division selection, so on and so forth. So I mean, we got a strong Jags teams this year, and I don't think this is I don't think this is any hype. I think this is fact. So, Andy, let's start with you. What I guess we went to Andy first, but I'm going to go back to him. My bad.
I think you just jump in the car and drive on by this one. The Colts stink.
Yeah, I mean the only intrigue I think we have is we've got another lock alert here. I'm laying as much money as I can on the Jacksonville Jaguars this week, -5. I know in the NFL you don't get big spreads like you'll see in college football, right? But 5 feels like almost an insult to what the Jacksonville Jaguars did last year and rebuilt in the offseason and all the turmoil that's going on in Indianapolis. Like, is this the Vegas number that says like, oh, Jonathan Taylor's going to suddenly have a change of heart and come play on Sunday? Because they're starting a rookie quarterback. They've got no wide receivers. We saw that play out over the last 2 years with the retread quarterbacks they tried to bring in. They don't have anybody to throw the fucking ball to, and they didn't go draft guys. They didn't go sign guys to make that offense more scary on the outside. And all of the bullshit with Jonathan Taylor and Jim Irsay, who is like now the new Dan Snyder, right? The most hated owner in football. Now that Snyder's out of the league. This is my lock of the week. -5 is, to me, kind of a slap in the face to the Jaguars. I'm going to bet whatever a bookie will fucking take from me to place a bet. I'm pushing the chips all in the middle of the table on the Jaguars. This just feels like too easy. Feels like free money.
That's Vegas saying you're still the Jags. We still don't trust you. Even though you get the abomination that is the Indianapolis Colts, we're still gonna, we're gonna lay off a little bit. Yeah, it should have been like an 8 or a 9. I don't know why this was.
I expected 7.5, 8, something like that. Yeah, for sure. But I'm gonna lay what I can on it. Touchdown is too easy, in my opinion.
Touchdown is too easy. Easy money potential in Indianapolis this weekend. And let's go to Touchdown Tommy on the road to Minneapolis or whatever the fuck, the Minnesotas. And all of us unanimous again. I mean, we won't even get in until 7 matchups in before we have a difference of opinion. It's kind of interesting. It says a lot about the scheduling. Touchdown bake, baby.
Touchdown bakes this year, yeah.
Against Gary's second favorite quarterback in the NFC North.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
this one feels a lot like the last one. Tampa's in rebuild, and they're just not willing to admit it yet. I think they're trying to hold on to something, with this roster that they've assembled. I just look at it, and Minnesota, despite how you feel about them, despite how many one-score games they played last year, Tampa's not going to be good this year. That offensive line is really bad. The wide receiver core is still there, but Godwin's been hurt plenty. Evans is hurt right now, and talking about his contract. This feels like kind of a layup for Minnesota. This Baltimore and Indianapolis were really the big ones that I kind of considered for my lock alert. Jacksonville against Indianapolis were the ones I considered for my lock alert. This just feels like an easy kind of layup opening weekend game for Minnesota, especially at home. I know it's an indoor game and whatnot, but Tampa's got to go to Minnesota. And Jordan Addison alongside Justin Jefferson feels like a really good duo after they let Adam Thielen walk. And I think Minnesota's offense, from a passing perspective, is going to continue to hum. Hawkinson with a full off season in that system. The one thing that I worry about is they won't be able to run the ball, losing Dalvin Cook. However you feel about whether he's over the hill or not, he's still better. He's still a better option than Alexander Madison. I do worry a little bit about the running game with them. I think they can scheme it up. I like O'Connell. I think he's from the Shanahan tree. He's going to be able to scheme up the run game, but they're not going to be as scary in the play action game as they have been in years past. So it could be a little bit slower of an offense for them. They averaged 27, I think, last year. They might only average 24, 25 this year. But easy layup here against Tampa, in my opinion.
Poor Tampa.
Poor Tampa.
We finally have a difference of opinion here. So
Rodgers does like to yell. That's real.
Man, some of that mic'd up coverage was solid.
Dude. It's funny too, not to get too far sidetracked, but just a quick comment. It's funny too to hear on the Hard Knocks thing where Randall Cobb pulls aside the wide receivers and is like, "Listen, Aaron's being really nice right now, but if you don't start catching the ball, he's going to start getting really pissed." And then, of course, a week later, they've got video of him screaming at fucking everybody.
I need to see the 30 for 30 on this one. Need to. All right. Tennessee on the road in New Orleans, and Andy's going to ride with Tennessee here. Me and Gary sticking with the Who Dat Nation. So, Andy, I'll hand it to you. What are you thinking here is going to be the big edge that's going to give the Titans the look?
I don't think there is a big edge. I don't think either team's very good. I think the Saints are getting way too much hype in the offseason. They're getting a lot of that because their division is piss poor. We've already glossed over a couple of those gems. I don't know. I don't think either team's great. I don't think either team's very far apart from the other one. I like the addition of Hopkins. I think we're relying a little too much on a couple of these guys the Saints brought in. We're talking David Derek, Damian Omen Carr. I don't love him. Never have. Jamal Williams was great in Detroit last year. I don't think he's a top tier running back. They're going to need him without Kamara. I don't know. I mean, there's no Sean Payton there anymore. I don't like the overreaction we've gotten for the Saints to start the season. I don't think they're any better than the Titans, and I just wanted to show that. Here I land.
Yeah, I think the only thing I worry about with the Titans is how bad that offensive line has gotten. They've had retirements and guys get released because of money and whatnot, and one of them's on busting with the boys, maybe their best offensive lineman for the last 6-8 years prior to his retirement. That Saints defensive front is very tough. This could be a real low-scoring game unless Derrick Henry really gets it going. I don't think Tennessee is going to be able to drop back and pass on the Saints, and I don't know that the Saints are necessarily going to light it up offensively either. I think they're going to miss Kamara a lot the first 6 weeks. I picked them to win their division, but it was mostly based on their division. The reason I picked New Orleans in this game is mostly based on Tennessee. New Orleans has the weakest schedule in the league, and I think it starts here with a Tennessee team that I look at them and think that they're kind of on the decline. They haven't figured out the quarterback position yet. Someday Derrick Henry's got to stop being a fucking mutant and become a human, right? I don't know that it's this year, but I think it could be this year with the foot injury he dealt with in the past. That's why I picked the Saints.
And the clock is ticking on the King, you know? Yeah. It really is. And so
all the time's undefeated, man.
I gotta see it. I gotta see it first.
I know. I know.
You gotta see it. It's a big ass dude. I mean,
I know.
The thing is like even after last year, I don't even feel like we're almost there. You know?
Yeah, we might not be, man. We might not be.
I really don't.
Not be. Yeah, the NFC South, it's just a matter of like quarterbacks leaving, quarterbacks retiring. Matt Ryan, Cam Newton left. Tampa had Brady there when they had their quick run. And yeah, you know, Dad, you make the right point. They haven't really been able to rebuild those rosters the way that some teams are able to, right? The Patriots have been able to.
You said it there. You got to get a quarterback. There has to be a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's been no answer since Breeze. They had
Breeze retired.
The short stint of Tom Brady that worked. No Cam Newton.
Yep.
No Matt Ryan. I mean, it's
absolutely.
You got to pick up the pieces and figure it out. We can't all go from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck, and it's hard.
If Derek Carr is that dude for New Orleans, I think they run away with this division.
He wears eyeliner, though.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're not wrong.
Fucking eyeliner.
And another one, we got Gary on the Pittsburgh Island. Interested to hear this one.
Yeah,
I mean, fucking floor's yours, bud. What?
Yeah, it comes down to I don't know that Brock Purdy's ready. I could be entirely wrong, and Pittsburgh may get blown out. San Fran's offense may be hitting on all cylinders to start the season, but Brock Purdy tore his UCL 6 months ago.
Right.
6 months ago. I mean, a little more than 6 months, but that's an injury that's 9 to 18 months of just recovery, and then 18 to 24 months before you're even back to full strength. Now, I've had conversations that maybe the throwing motion of a football versus the throwing motion of a baseball has allowed him to come back sooner, and maybe he comes back stronger than, pitchers often do with Tommy John surgery. But still, I just don't trust it. And I think if they don't threaten Pittsburgh in the passing game the way that they were able to threaten teams last year, this Pittsburgh defense is real. And I think this could be one of those games where we're going to look up and suddenly in the fourth quarter, it's 13-10 and Pittsburgh's got the ball with a chance to run the clock out.
Okay.
That's what I see for this game is potentially if Brock Purdy comes back, they're hitting on all cylinders and the film doesn't tell Pittsburgh what it needs to tell them to be able to shut him down. I'm going to be dead wrong on this one.
My only 2 points against it would be that A, I think Sam Darnold's good enough to beat the Steelers. B, I think in a defensive game, I still take San Fran over Pittsburgh. So that would be my only landing point to kind of go against what you're saying. But, yeah, I mean, the Purdy stuff is legitimately a concern.
Yeah.
All right. On the road, all of us unanimous here for Washington as the Cardinals on their way out to visit the Commanders. And this is my lock alert. So
yes,
they've got -7 to the Commanders. I know that, this is another one of those situations where like Arizona's in fucking shambles, right? So this should be kind of a shoe-in, but I also don't think that the Commanders are in any necessarily great place. I mean, the latest and greatest from 3 hours ago is that Scary Terry's still on a day-to-day, and then that leaves you with Sam Howell.
Dotson, baby.
Yeah, sure. He's got a threat. And so you're really betting against the Cards defense if you're going to choose to ride with the Commanders. So, I mean, you just can't have a lot of faith in either one of those offenses. And so I don't know that I think Young's still out, right? So
yeah, he's fucking Glass Joe.
You know? So like, what's your real strength in the defense? Like, I don't think that -7's the move here.
I think the strength is Arizona's offense. That's the strength in your defense if you're Washington.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, Raul, obviously, did you have him as a wild card?
Mm-hmm.
You had Washington as a wild card, right? And then for Gary to pick Washington, like we're exploring new galaxies here. This is
dude.
One quick point I'll make
is like, here.
Andy, you mentioned Houston might be the worst team in football. It's going to be a race to the bottom between Houston and Arizona.
It might be.
Honestly, I think that's what it's going to be this year. It's going to be a race to the bottom. I think Arizona's trying to bottom out. They're trying to bottom out to make a decision on whether they're going to get draft capital to build around Kyler or if they're going to draft Caleb Williams, right? Because that's the consensus #1 pick next year. And are they going to restart at fucking quarterback again? Whatever. But my biggest thing right now with this game is essentially if you're Washington and you don't basically handle Arizona, God forbid you lose to Arizona. If you lose to Arizona, the season's over. It's week 1, I know. But if you lose to Arizona, this fucking season's a wash. Fire Ron, clean house. It's ridiculous. It'd be so fucking embarrassing. But I don't think it's not going to happen because Arizona's that bad. But you gotta show out against them as bad as this fucking team is.
I would be sad for you if they lost that. I really would be sad for you. Although I will always say the first like 2 or 3 weeks of the NFL season are so fucking unpredictable. But yeah, the Cardinals,
fucking Arizona,
the Texans. Man. I want to throw the Colts in there though too. We might have a 3-way race to the bottom.
The Colts.
Yeah, you can't forget the Colts. You really can't.
This is the first time I can think of in a while where we had 3 teams this goddamn bad.
Yeah. I'm gonna hit real quick on this because I was just talking to my cousin this
training
weekend.
Camp looked a lot more populated. You know, with fans.
I was just talking to my cousin this weekend, who's also a Commanders fan, and he was asking me, like, you know, what is it that has got everybody so excited? It's not necessarily that the team is so excited about, or the fans are so excited about the team. It's literally just the change in ownership has changed the entire tenor around the team. Dan was that fucking toxic in this area. They sold out on season tickets like immediately. They sold out for week 1. They've sold out a couple of games throughout the season already. It is a completely different atmosphere down here. And for those of you that saw the social media posts about training camp, like that's in a microcosm. That's what has changed here. It's unbelievable what's going on around here with how people are kind of flocking back to the team, getting excited. RFK is back on the docket in terms of a potential landing place for a new stadium, which is the perfect area. If you've never been, it's basically built for tailgating and everything. And yeah, Calvin's absolutely right. That's like Dan is gone. It's like they're selling memorabilia on every fucking street corner in DC the day that team got hit.
Fucking ding dong, the witch is dead out there.
Exactly. That's all it is, man. And everybody's excited. I'm among them. Dan was that toxic, dude.
It truly starts at the top.
I feel like it
does.
That's a perfect microcosm to the entire culture there in DC, because every fucking 4 or 8 years they're selling shirts of ding dong, the witch is dead shit. You know what I mean? It's a perfect fucking they are their own fan base. Yeah. So enjoy that.
I think they should get a new owner. Every 4 to 8 years they should get a new owner. Like, it should be mandatory.
We should be able to vote a new
It should
owner.
just be included in your duties in the Oval Office, right? It's just like it's just one rich old white guy after another, right? So
keep it in check.
Let's
new owner every 4 to 8 years, but the shareholders all stay 90. Like, just
run it like Congress. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, so on to the next. We got Gary riding with fucking Green Bay here, and I feel like this is definitely a prime example of one that can go either way.
I actually was surprised you both were on Chicago, but I agree with you, Raul, that last point you made, that it's 50-50. I think this is close.
I waffled.
I'm less surprised necessarily, but I was a little surprised right off the bat that you both picked Chicago.
Yeah. That's probably more chance than anything.
Yeah, I think probably, but I've liked what I've seen from Jordan Love in the preseason. I know it's the preseason. That's the only point I'm going to make. I think Green Bay is going to be in okay hands. I like what Chicago's done. I think they're rebuilding in the right way. They're putting things around Justin Fields, an offensive line, some weapons on the outside. DJ Moore's the real deal. I'm really curious to see how they grow. I just think that Green Bay with that running game and what they've got on defense, I think is going to be the X factor against Chicago this weekend.
Yeah, and I just do whatever I can to speak into existence that Green Bay is going to lose. So fuck.
I mean, I'm not surprised that Mode ran with with Chicago because fuck Green Bay, obviously, right? If you're a Lions fan, that's fair. And honestly, I think the edge for me was Justin Fields. You know, I got faith in his ability to produce, and I think he's on the up and up. I mean, he's definitely a lot more battle hardened over the last couple of years, but hopefully not too much to where he's going to be more injury prone, right? But
yeah, and everybody talks about Lamar Jackson in terms of being the best running quarterback, but like maybe quietly, Justin Fields kind of was the best running quarterback last year, mostly out of necessity. I get it, but he ran for 100 yards 3 out of 4 games at one point in that season and ended up leading the league in terms of running from the quarterback position. And I don't think a lot of people would have had that at the beginning of the season.
I don't appreciate the fact that we just overlooked Daniel Jones, who ran for, I mean, he was top 2 he was top 2 or 3 on his team for rushing.
Yeah, and he was also top 1 or 2 in the NFL in tripping over the 5-yard line.
He's a different rusher though. I feel like Daniel Jones is fast. Yeah. He's not like Jackson and Fields are shifty.
Yep.
Like Justin Fields, some of the shit I watched him do last year, it was only like, hey, that's Lamar Jackson or Michael Vick. Yep. It's the only other 2 I've ever seen do anything like that. Yep. And you know what? He's like gazelle long too.
He's all and yeah. Yep.
Daniel Jones is just like, and Daniel Jones is white as shit too. So he has no side-to-side athletic ability. So we're just gonna get that out. Yeah, everybody watching this thinking.
You know what he is, dude? He's a faster Tom Brady, right? Like as far as speed and just running ability is like that's all because like he's this goofy, lanky-looking fucking white boy.
Yeah.
That just has some innate ability that doesn't make sense. Like Tom Brady's a fucking brilliant quarterback, and Daniel Jones just can sprint most of the way there. You know,
yeah.
And
I knew a bunch of white dudes growing up that could run fast in a straight line, but couldn't dribble a basketball side to side. And that is fucking Daniel Jones. Give him. I guarantee you, he can't dribble.
There you go. There you go. Anyways, all right. So all of us unanimous here. Fucking Broncos country. Let's ride. You know, Andy, I wondered if you would hesitate on this one just because I mean the man had to take a whole fucking season off after that wrong. So I mean my man missed everything. He said, nah, we didn't even get left on red, dog. It was just he disappeared. And he said, you know what? I can't handle this level.
Can't be here.
Yeah, I was receiving death threats.
Bro, you got cucked by Russell Wilson is what happened.
Broncos fans were messaging me for fucking up their season. It was a whole thing.
Aaron?
It wasn't good, man. No. I thought I was going to be alone in this. I don't know. I'm just riding with them now at this point. I don't even know. They're fucking
double down. Way to do it.
In Sean, I trust. I think Las Vegas is really at this like weird in between. I think they have their quarterback on the roster, but it's not Jimmy G.
Not yet, senior.
But they're just not – they're not great right now. I do think the Broncos are going to be better this year, but I don't know that I would say that the Broncos are going to be a 10, 11, 12-win team. They might win 8 or 9, and I think that'd be a good season for them. I think Sean Payton's changing the culture there, obviously, from last year. But I also think, like, he knows how to build a thing, right? What he did in New Orleans was a nice, solid run. They won a Super Bowl. But the biggest thing Sean's going to be able to do is come in and control Russ, and maybe he does get back to cooking a little bit. Maybe they get better on offense, but Sean's going to be able to control Russ. He's got the chops. He's got the personality. He's got the clout, right, with that Super Bowl ring that he's got on, and his ability to really build an offense. I think you're going to see them run the ball and Russ get back to being really good off play action. Because when they were at their best in Seattle, that's what they were. They were a play action offense, and Russ was making plays with both his arm and his feet. If Denver can get back to that instead of asking him to be a guy who's going to throw it 40, 45 times a game, I think Denver can be dangerous this year.
Yeah, he's just got to get away from the myth, the unlimited.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Jesus Christ.
Myth, the unlimited.
I can't.
He sounded like, you ever seen the movie 50 First Dates? Drew Barrymore's brother.
Yes. Yes.
They're unlimited. He sounded like that, dude. Like Sean, is it Sean Austin? Is that the?
Yeah. He needs to be more like fucking Tom, and just be resetting every 10 seconds so we don't get to that fucking point. Hi, I'm Tom. So that, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Hi, I'm Russ. And then before it's like let Russ cook, it's just I'm Russ. I'm fucking quarterback in the National Football League.
Second time.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. If they can be healthy at running back, if Javonte is truly back, they said he's looked great in camp. If he's truly back, that offense can be very.
Who else did they get? P. Ryan.
They got P. Ryan to back him up, who's been really good in Cincinnati the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
They need Judy healthy. I mean, he's hurt.
Sean Payton's really, he's accustomed to dealing with drama queen fucking receivers. So I mean, he's gonna do well, I think.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Not.
Anyways, on to the next one.
Even when he was in Dallas as the offensive coordinator.
Oh, bro, it's my quarterback. Yeah, all of that and everything before that.
That's my quarterback.
I think actually Sean Payton was already in New Orleans when that happened. But anyways,
he was there when they had the triplets.
Yeah. So onward. Gary riding with the Chargers, and me and Andy lockstep here with Miami, but on the road, are we giving home field advantage here? Are we still going to put the? Are you
healthy.
Healthy? Justin Herbert.
They're healthy. That's all it is. They're healthy. I can only say that probably for week 1, but they're healthy.
I feel like you're handing a child a Call of Duty controller, but you have all the weapons unlocked.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're a fully capable team, but
I mean, Brandon Staley is still that child with the Call of Duty controller.
What are we doing?
Sure. They're healthy. I just think that when healthy, they're one of the 3, maybe 4 most talented rosters in football. Not necessarily best teams, but most talented rosters. And they're healthy. I think that's the biggest factor for me this week.
Right.
And they're home, but they're healthy. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's my thing. I was 50 as fuck on this. Yeah. And usually in that scenario, I'm going to go with the home team. But Staley left such a bad taste in my mouth with that fucking playoff game last year that, like, I was to the point where I don't think I want him to win.
Yeah,
I just want to go.
That's fair.
I want to see a shoot. I think we'll see a shootout. Obviously, I think we're going to get 2 high-powered offenses, and I don't know, man. I kind of think the Teal's going to cook them a little bit.
Yeah.
Same. On to the next. What the fuck, Gary? me and Andy got Philly. Gary's got New England.
That's some hater shit.
It might be
doing.
It might be. Listen, I won't say you're not completely off base. Maybe my biggest thing is. Yeah, I do. They're at home. 2, they got Bill O'Brien back, right? And they're going to have one of the 2 to 3 best defenses in the league this year. I don't think they're being talked about enough. They've got so much talent on that defense, and it is pieces that Bill Belichick has had immense success with in the past. And Fat Patricia's not running the offense anymore. He's back helping with the defense. My thing is, I think that New England's defense is going to slow this down to the point that it becomes a slugfest. And I think in a slugfest, I trust Bill O'Brien to do just enough offensively. I think Ramondre Stevenson is built for that kind of game, to be able to tote the rock and slow the game down and grind the pace and keep that high-powered Philadelphia offense off the field. And I think that defensively, given an entire offseason as well to scheme for week one, I trust Bill Belichick to be able to do some things that maybe Philly's not going to be ready for defensively. So that's my biggest reason, is I just think that defense is going to be strong enough. This is going to be a game that New England's going to really just slow the pace, take it down to almost a halt, and keep Philadelphia from hitting those home runs that we saw them hit so many last year.
See, my stance against that would be the same as the San Fran-Pittsburgh game. I think if it gets defensive, I still just feel like I trust Philly enough defensively that they're going to be able to, overcome with their offense.
Their weakness is stopping the run, though, right?
Sure.
Philadelphia defensively. If you've got to pass against them, if you get behind on them, they're going to tee off and they're going to fucking light you up. If you can run the ball and establish that pace early, I think that they can get got. They got against Washington last year doing exactly that, right? When Washington knocked them off for their first loss last year, they ran the ball, they slowed the pace down, they kept the offense off the field. I just think that's what New England's going to do. That's the gut feeling, and that's why. And it may be a little bit of haterade. It might be. You certainly could be onto something there.
I mean, I hate that you're taking more chances than us.
Oh, you just hate that he's alone in on this shit. That's awesome. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, there's been pretty big chances. I mean, he's already in week one went against the two best teams from the NFC. Maybe it's a little ballsy. I don't know.
Maybe
you're right. Maybe you look really good and we look stupid. I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? We'll see.
Well, folks, we're a veteran-owned podcast. We talk about sports and we get to talk shit. We don't do this for a living, but we do it for fun. And so we like to dedicate every episode to a fallen service member in our Folds of Honor sponsored segment called our Salute to Service. This episode is going to be dedicated to Army Sergeant Andrew Joseph Baddick, who passed away September 29th, 2003, serving during Operation Iraqi Freedom. He was 26 years old, of Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, assigned to 1st Battalion, 504th Parachute Infantry Regiment, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And he drowned as he tried to rescue another soldier whose vehicle had entered canal near Abu Ghraib prison, Iraq. Army Sergeant Andrew Joseph Baddick, we have the watch. Family friend actually quoted, "I knew the boy all his life. I watched him grow up, and all he ever wanted to do was be in the Army and be a paratrooper, and he succeeded."
Dad's got my back. Stick your neck out there sometimes.
He's supposed to. He's your father. Not like my father, who's just disappointed.
Perpetually disappointed.
It's perpetual, folks. Andy on the island here, riding with, Matt Stafford, the Rams, against the Seahawks. Are we thinking the fireworks are over in Seattle?
Listen,
or are we just...
real quick? I want to make this point real quick. Andy, this was my most surprising that I saw, because you were on Seattle last year when we weren't. So
yeah, he was also
I was
on
really
Matt
surprised
Stafford.
to see this pick.
Yeah, I don't really have like a huge reason for it, other than I think the Geno thing is a little overblown. I think Seattle honestly has a pretty good up and coming team. I just don't know how great they are, immediately. And I don't think Geno Smith's a long-term guy. And I also think the Rams are getting shit on a little more than they deserve. I don't think they're quite down there in like the Colts, Cardinals territory. I think, I see a lot of like 4 or 5 win predictions. I think this team can win like 8 games. I don't think it's as bad as it seems there, and I don't think it's as good as it seems in Seattle. So divisional game. Why the fuck not? Even on the road.
Yeah.
This is my New England Patriots game. My Patriots.
There you go.
Yeah.
We all got one, right?
No, I do think, though. I think they can do things. I think Cooper Kupp being back, Stafford, hopefully the injury wasn't too serious. Cam Akers got a little burn late in the year. And again, I do think the Seahawks thing is a little overblown. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, that's all fair.
Yeah, we got to make sure the conditioning's up to snuff there with Stafford, though, because fucking get it together.
He's on the last few holes of his.
That's exactly. Senior was asking where's Stafford at in his career, and I think my immediate answer. I mean, hole 17, I think, is probably a good number.
Yeah, probably.
I think he's probably got a couple years left at the most.
Yep.
So this one and one more.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the time frame he's looking at, for sure.
Yeah. And fucking Andy. So me and Gary riding with Dallas. Gary, not surprising, he gave some credit there, and he and I have believed for, long enough now that fucking the Giants are a sham. And so, Andy, what the fuck, dude?
Listen, I sort of agreed they were a sham last week. However, I picked them as a wild card team.
No, I said last year.
Oh, last year.
The whole last season they were a fucking sham.
I agreed with that last week. I said they were similar to Minnesota. They almost had that point differential in the negative. I picked them for a wild card. I think a home game, divisional opponent. I think they split. So that's the gist of my pick. Dallas is the better team. But yeah, that's what that boiled down to.
Money lines at Cowboys minus 170.
That's a fairly heavy favorite. But...
So
how does that make sense?
How does it make sense that that's what their money line is? I mean, 3.5 points. I'm cool with it. I just think they split this year, and I don't think the Giants are going to win in Dallas. So, I mean,
fair enough.
Where I'm at.
Fair.
Call it home field advantage. Gary?
I don't believe in the Giants. I don't think they did enough in the offseason to continue to capture the magic they had last year. I think Brian Daboll is a genius in terms of scheming up offenses, but at some point, the cupboard's pretty fucking bare. You paid Daniel Jones a lot of goddamn money, and you almost alienated one of the handful best running backs in the game because of it. Luckily, you were able to re-sign him for an extra $100,000 or whatever. It was so stupid, but I just don't know if Darren Waller gets back to what Darren Waller was in Vegas in 2020 and 2021. I think they could have something there on offense, but Waller couldn't stay on the field last year, and when he was on the field, he wasn't much of a threat. He didn't seem like the same guy. So unless they can get that out of him, it's going to be a struggle for them to throw the ball again this year, and they're going to really have to lean on Barkley, and they're going to have to lean on Daniel Jones to be able to run the ball as efficiently as he did last year.
And Barkley re-signed for an I Apple New York T-shirt.
Yeah,
that was the throw.
Basically.
This guy.
Oh yeah, we can talk about Dak real quick, and Raul, I want to hear your thoughts because the trade for Trey Lance I think is interesting. What are your thoughts on Dak? Is this his make or break year, or is Dallas really all in with Dak?
I would really hope that this was his make or break year. I think with a quarterback as young and potentially as moldable as Trey Lance is, you could still, develop him the way you need to. I do already kind of feel like this is Romo to Dak-esque. This is kind of, I don't know. I feel like it's, Bledsoe to Romo-esque. These are just kind of the moments where it's like you've hit this plateau and you're not able to get there. And so we've got to make a move, right? And Dak isn't anywhere near the level of age that these guys are. But that Aikman was whenever he passed the ball, or Bledsoe or whoever. Like none of that is necessarily the same as far as age. I just feel like, from a performance perspective, you have to take that next step, right? Like, you've already paid him a shit ton of money, but you've got to figure out another way out. And Trey Lance could potentially be that, and it may not be this season, but what I would prefer to see is Mike McCarthy give him a fair shake once he's 100% healthy and ready to go. And if he is a better executor, vision, patience, timing, pace, if he can check more boxes than Dak, then we don't need to discuss anything. It needs to be a fucking see ya. I mean, this is business, right? So
yeah, Dak's been like the peaks and valleys, right?
Yeah.
But we see more valleys lately than peaks. And I was always on Dak's side on this show, even with you and Stove as Cowboys fans being like kind of like fuck the guy, but I
definitely overcritical of him at all times.
Yeah. I mean, and that's fine. You're allowed to do that. You're supposed to do that. It's just like even in camp, we see him like throwing into fucking triple coverage to a guy who's 5'3". I don't know I have no defense for him anymore. It's
he missed a lot of time last year for a guy that led the league in interceptions.
He did. Yeah. It's like he's got all the bad qualities Brett Favre had and none of the good ones.
Yeah.
There's a 2-play sequence in Week 18 last year that really encapsulates kind of what Dak is as a quarterback. He threw a ball on a slant route, and Washington, our cornerback Kendall or St. Juice jumped it, nearly picked it, dropped it. Dak comes back and throws the exact same fucking ball, and he houses it. How do you not learn from the fucking play 5 seconds before that? Like, come on, man. Like that. Dude. What's that?
10 second time.
It's seriously, it's crazy. Like how you come back and just do that again. Like that, to me, that kind of captures like Dak was, and I'll compare him to like Russell Wilson, right? Dak was great when they had the best running game in football, and he could just play action, fake sticking it in the belly of Ezekiel Elliott, and have fucking single coverage on the back end. Amari Cooper was a great fucking wide receiver when he only faced single coverage. Michael Gallup was a great wide receiver when he faced fucking the third best corner on the other team, because you're stacking the box. And that's sort of the success that Russell Wilson had when he was at his best in Seattle as well. So they need to figure out if they're going to get back to that. They paid him $40 million, and you don't pay $40 million for a guy you've got to capitulate to and kind of pamper him and make him successful. But that's kind of what they've got. They've hemmed themselves into that. They're either going to ride or die with Dak. And I know I picked them to win the division. I think they're going to hide some of that this year, where they're going to use Tony Pollard a lot out of the backfield, and not ask Dak to make a lot of throws downfield. And I think that's going to be the difference. We saw McCarthy have a lot of success with that in Green Bay with Aaron Jones and the guys they had before him. But we'll see.
Cheeseburger
Eddie, baby.
Yeah, Eddie Lacy. Yep, for sure.
Man won me a fucking fantasy Super Bowl, dog. I'll never forget that, man.
Yeah. He celebrated a little too hard though when he won for you.
Yeah, he never stopped, dude.
Joey Chestnut.
Yeah.
Bro, glizzy god.
He was swallowing fucking packs of Bar S, whole pack at a time.
Them Bar S boys, them Bar S hitters. All right, last matchup. We're all unanimous. Buffalo over the Jets. No faith in Rodgers. Go fuck yourself. Too many F-bombs on fucking live mic footage for him to get the cred. This man is disgruntled, dog. This man wants to see the manager, dog. This man has contacted his agent every fucking hour on the hour since that fucking film got released on every major social media platform on the internet.
I gotta say, Karen Rodgers.
Hey, Ron.
Yo. Karen
Rodgers.
Yeah.
This shit was too easy. Yeah, no, I'm rocking with the Bills. I've been critical. I'm still a little critical. I said what I said last week, but I don't trust the Jets offensive line. I don't. Not with the Bills front. I don't see it.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think Jets fans are going to need a hug in about week 4 or 5 and to remind them that there's still a lot of season left to be played, because they have a fucking hellacious start to the season.
Yeah.
The NFL did them zero favors bringing in all the new shit and all that. I think they're going to struggle out of the gates, and you're going to see a lot of Jets fans like fucking screaming and losing their minds. But Rodgers is going to have to go on the McAfee show and just remind them how to spell the word relax, because it has potential to be a really, really tough start to the season. They play contenders across the board for about 5, maybe 6 weeks, and then it lightens up for them. Although they're in one of the more competitive divisions in football, so it doesn't necessarily fully lighten up for them. But their out-of-division schedule gets better after about week 6, I believe.
Yeah, they've got the Bills. Then they have week 2. What the hell did I see?
The Niners
week 2,
and the Chiefs. Then
they have Chiefs week 4. I saw they have the Patriots in there, and they had somebody else hellacious. Like it was. First 4 weeks, Dallas.
It's Bills,
Cowboys,
Jets,
Patriots, Chiefs, Broncos, Eagles.
Correct.
See ya, bud.
Yeah, their first 6 weeks are rough, bro.
It's tough. And then if the Chargers find a way to stay healthy, they've got them in week 8.
It really doesn't get. I mean, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
It's tough.
Bills, Cowboys. Pats, okay, sure. Chiefs, yikes. Broncos, potentially yikes. Eagles, yikes. Giants, yikes. Chargers, yikes. Raiders.
But listen, Gary talked me into thinking that maybe that Pats game isn't that easy. I don't know now. Now I'm messed up.
I'm just saying through the first 8 weeks, they've got 2 maybes.
Divisional opponent. It's you're going 2 Arrowhead.
Okay, 3 maybes. You know?
It's got potential to be really tough out the gates for them. And you know that New York media, and you know how fickle all New York fans are.
100%.
The Jets and the Giants, they're going to be fucking
just weather the storm of the first half of the season.
Yeah, they're going to be bailing water out of the boat at about week 6. You're going to have to give them a hug. You're going to have to give them a hug and tell them, still a long season left. Yeah. You got Aaron Rodgers. Relax.
Listen,
I mean, and that's still two showdowns with Miami and another one with Buffalo after that. And then
we're going to get some good footage probably in these first 6 weeks.
Oh, for sure. Most definitely. Well, Mode, Gary, any closing thoughts?
Nah, man, the Karen Rodgers shit still has.
I didn't even want to say it. I just wanted to hint at it, and just it was kind of perfect.
Nah, I'm excited, man. We got college football last weekend. NFL starts this weekend. Excited. I think it's going to be a super competitive season, especially on the AFC side. We talked about it last week. AFC is going to be really competitive. Sure. NFC is going to be competitive at the top. It's not going to be competitive deep. And of course, we're going to find out pretty early how bad some of these teams that are kind of in tank mode are. As my brother made the point earlier, like, has anybody been in perpetual tank mode longer than the Cardinals? Probably
not. Fair enough. Listen, boys, we did it.
We did it.
Hitting the hour mark. Time to go pick up the kiddo. Anyways, appreciate you guys tuning in. Be sure to tune in with us next Tuesday night. Be sure to check in about an hour prior so you can catch the show before us. We got shows running all week. Okay, keep in mind, still baseball season. We got basketball season we're still talking about. We're still talking about football, obviously. And we're talking about college football. We got plenty of shows for you to watch here on Backyard Sports. We appreciate every single one of you motherfuckers watching this. My name's Raul Herrera. I got Andy Mode with me. I got Gary Freeze with me. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.